across the fence, from plants to tools to the newest Master Gardener course, our experts are here to share some gardening gift ideas. They'll highlight some of their favorites and reveal some of the newest products. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. With me to get started is Leonard Perry, the UVM horticulturalist from the Plant and Soil Science Department. Always great to have you here. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you, Judy.
So we're going to start with plants.
Let's start with the poinsettias. Those are the most popular flowering houseplant now, and people are familiar with these, but wanted to bring some of these, thanks to Clausen's for providing these to us out in Colchester, to show some varieties that we have. This is what's called a marble type. You can see some leaves with the white in it, mainly red, others, and there's a lot of variation with more white, and then this is from the same plant, all white. So we really like this one. So that's a marble type. Then some of the newer varieties, the pinks, they've actually have bred deeper colors, like you see a deeper pink here in front. The smaller plant in the little 4-inch pot, a mix of pink and cream color. So that's variation. And then with the reds, you see here more traditional red, real bright, and then in front a darker red with a little smaller plant. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out with poinsettias when you're choosing them is to have a nice proportion, leaves to the bottom of the pot, not, missing here. And also look in the center. These are the so-called flowers, are actually modified leaves called bracts that are colored. These are actually the flowers. That's what we want to look at, because you want those to be closed or just starting to open, like some of those are. And so that's a sign that these are just fresh and they're going to last the longest.
Excellent.
So the other thing with poinsettias is protect them on the way home. They don't like cold.
Right.
Keep them away from drafts when you get home. Give them light as much as possible, but also with any of these, they're in foil, as you see here. That doesn't drain. If you water it and it sits in water, that's going to rot the roots. So you want to make sure that I just pop the foil off, let it drain, and then put it back on. So that's the story with the poinsettias there. And I wanted to just show this little guy. This is a cyclamen. This I've actually had since Thanksgiving, hence you see some of the flowers starting to fade and go by, but it has some new ones coming along. The keys with cyclamen are cool temperatures and even watering. Poinsettias can take a little dry, a little wet. Cyclamen really don't like that. So make sure it's kept water. Again, just pull it out of the pot, let it drain, and then, or out of the foil, and then put it back. But again, these can last for weeks. Poinsettias can last for months.
Well, we've got a lot of other things to see too, but we want to talk a little bit about the gift of gardening, and you want to know about the 2017 UVM Extension Master Gardener course. Joining me now is State Coordinator of the Master Gardener Program, Brett Halverson. Thanks for coming in, Brett. Come on over.
Thanks for having me.
So, for those who don't know, describe what the Master Gardener Program's all about.
Yeah, it's a great class for anybody that's interested in gardening. You don't have to be an expert to take the class. And it's 13 weeks long, and it's offered online through a technology called Zoom, which allows you to interact with the professors and people teaching the course.
So you can actually ask questions while you're going along.
You can, yeah.
So what's required to become a Master Gardener?
So to become a Master Gardener, you have to take the class, and you can do it live on Tuesday evenings, and it's offered from February 7th through May 16th. And you can watch the classes then, or you can watch the live recordings at your own convenience. And then if you're interested in doing an internship after the course, you can volunteer for 40 hours over the course of a year and get some practical experience.
Now, if someone wants information or is interested in registering, what should they do?
So if someone's interested in registering, they can go to our website, which is www.uvm.edu/mastergardener. And right now we're offering a special. If you register by January 2nd, the class is $425. And then until January 3rd, after that, it would be $440.
Be a nice gift for someone who's really interested in gardening.
Yeah, it would be a great gift.
Well, thanks so much for joining us. Now, on the
you.
subject of gardening education, I know you want to talk about some books, Leonard.
And this actually relates. This is through the Master Gardener program available. This is one from a couple professors. Well, it's been around from written by other professors at UVM, Landscape Plants for Vermont, through Extension, Dr. Norman Pellet and Dr. Mark Starrett with this most recent version of the Landscape Plants. Really is, if you're into growing landscape plants in Vermont, this is a book to have. Very inexpensive, and again, through the Master Gardener Program. Of course, I have to, one of the books promote is my own. I've done that before. Actually, this is a revision of one Lewis Hill originally wrote, Fruits and Berries for the Home Garden. And this is one that I revised a few years ago for Story Publishing. Lots in there, sections on small fruits and tree fruits, and then the basics like culture and pests and diseases. A lot of information, a lot of great color photos packed in there, as in the Vegetable Gardeners Bible. We have 2 Bibles today, again from Story Publishing, another Vermont author, Ed Smith. But again, a lot of basic information in the beginning, a lot of good how-to tips for our climate, and then the A to Z of the different crops and how to grow each. So again, if you're into the edible plants, those would be great books or gifts.
All right, well, it's time to get to tools and gear. So joining us now from UVM Plant and Soil Science Department is Sarah Kingsley Richards. Great to see you again.
Good to see you too, Judy.
So we're going to start with the gloves.
Gloves. I've never met a gardener who has enough gloves.
Exactly.
They come in all shapes and sizes, which is great. You've got some really colorful options these days.
Which I might point out is really handy because if you lose them in the garden, they're easier to find.
They are much easier to find. If anybody who deals with roses or spiky type of plants would love these long sleeved ones that protect your arms. There's waterproof palm ones, which work really great. And then, you know, gardeners are pretty die-hard and they want to garden in the winter too sometimes.
Yes.
Or, you know, if you're out shoveling, they make wonderfully insulated gloves
That's
as
a good
well.
idea.
So gloves are always a good option.
And what else have you got to protect the body?
Protect the body. Knee pads.
Yes.
We've got some. They come in all shapes and sizes and colors. A lot of colors nowadays. Always a good option. Or if you don't want to strap something onto your knees, they've got all sorts of nice poofy kneeling pads that you can try out.
Terrific. All right, Leonard, now you're going to be talking about weather and weather items for the gardener.
Right. Gardeners, just like gloves, really need to know the weather. Of course, thermometers, most people have one of those, but rain gauge, that's essential. You can get an inexpensive one like this one, or you can get a little fancier one. You can get them, spend lots of money if you want, or you just get more professional ones. You can get recording ones and ones that have remote wireless features. Just a lot you can do with the weather items. And then there are other kinds of meters and things you can do too. There's some over in the pot over there next to Sarah. There's ones for soil pH, which is indoors. More outdoors, there's one for soil moisture again. And that one for your houseplants, you can actually choose which houseplants you have and it'll tell you if that plant has right moisture or not. They're very high tech now. But again, for outdoors, soil testing, there's a couple things you can do. A little soil test kit, those are actually free to get. You have to pay to send it in, but if a gardener hasn't tested their soil from UVM Extension, get a soil test kit, or you can get these little kits which have, you put a little soil and water in and it changes color and you can see how much nitrogen or whatever. Inexpensive, these both are, but these are just really quick if you want to
Find out what's happening in the soil.
Check that too. And one other thing I brought, we were talking indoors, it's very popular now, are terrariums. So here's a kit, it's got all the ingredients except for the plants. You can choose what you want, but it's got the jar, it's got the soil, the stones, the moss, and then you just put that together. Then what you can do is up front we have a little fairy there, and you can get fairy garden items and turn your terrarium into a fairy garden or have a dish garden. Those are very popular as well.
Great idea.
to do with kids.
And if you have a cat, if it's encased, they'll stay out of it.
Yeah, we could actually have a terrarium and put some plants in to keep it away from the cat.
Yes.
All right, more on indoor gardening. We need pots.
Pots. There's all sorts of kinds of pots out there. Very pretty decorative ones. Ones that actually have the drainage holes. If you like the look of a pot but don't think it's going to hold up to having soil and plants in it, you can just set a pot inside a pot as a good option for making a plant look more decorative.
Yes.
Pots are also a good packaging thing. If you're going to give a gardener a gift, put it in a pot.
Good idea.
They'll love it.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have the drainage holes in the pots. That's a key thing. I've seen more plants die. People pot it. I've actually had plants go down. I looked and there was no drainage hole.
Yeah, which is why you'd want to use it as a liner instead. Put the plant in a pot with a drainage hole and then put it inside a decorative
That's a good
pot.
All right, we've got some tools to show off.
Yeah, there's all sorts of other tools in the garden. The best thing every gardener needs is a good pair of pruners. something that fits ergonomically to your hand. You can never have too many pairs of pruners. If one gets dull, you grab the next one before you sharpen it. Little snippy scissors are always nice for getting into some really fine pruning, especially sometimes when you're starting seeds. These are kind of handy to have around for thinning. And then there's all-purpose tools. Like this is a, you'll see it called by the name Hori Hori sometimes. It's just an all-purpose digging, chopping type of tool.
I'm hoping Santa leaves me one of those in my stocking.
Yeah, a good strong grip, nice and flexible tool to have around.
Excellent. What else have we got here?
Okay, we just got lots of other things, but
Birds.
Especially the birds. I can't
yes.
forget about those. Even if somebody's not a real gardener, bird items are good. You can start with a just suet in the wintertime. This gives them that, nice stuff. You can buy the suet blocks you put in there just as kind of a fancy one with a copper top. You can get simple ones. You can get a fancy one for the holidays for them, a suet ball. This is a bell shape here and has all the seeds on it, so you can do that. There's a couple of other things that we've got here. Feeders, there are many types of feeders. There's platform feeders for those birds like cardinals or doves that like to feed on the ground or platforms. And then you have to, some of the things to think about with feeders is the type of birds, the size of the perch, holes, the type food. There are smaller holes for others, we'll see in a minute. But one of the keys, we like the tube feeders to put and you can see, you can get 6 birds at a time on here. But make sure you get one that either drains water and is easily cleaned. A lot of them you can't take the base off. You get seeds build up there.
It's a
they
mess.
mold, and birds can get sick. So this one, you just lift the top here as you would to fill it, and then you can pull this little rod. These come out, and you can easily get in to clean it. So that's one of the real key things to watch for a lot of these feeders. How are you going to clean it?
Right.
And then we brought one other big one here. We were getting so many birds this year when the finches had their little ones, and they, we'd have all over the place. So we got one of these that holds 4 pounds of seeds.
So you'll have to
we
keep
use black
feeding,
oil sunflower,
filling
so
it.
it lasts a couple of days. We'd have 10 or 12 birds at a time perched all over this thing. Ours is just this wide mesh here that holds, but you can get this one, which actually has a finer mesh, and you put Niger seed for the small birds here, and it's got a perch. But again, this holds a lot of seed. If you get a lot of birds, you don't have to fill it nearly as much. Again, it's got drain holes, so the water drains, and it doesn't, and you can take the bottom off. It's easily cleaned there too. So, and finally, bird houses. You can either buy bird houses. You can actually make one, a good winter project to do, especially if you have kids, or like to work with wood. This has all the pieces cut. You just screw them together, and you have a wren house. When you're making bird houses, note the size for the birds that you want to attract and the hole. That's really key, the size of the hole, depending on the birds. Of course, there's a lot on placement and all, and you can find out more online, and on my website we'll give at the end about birds and so forth. But making a birdhouse, I think, would be a nice
Good project.
a nice gift too.
Yeah. And speaking of gifts, there are all kinds of things here too.
Oh, yes. One of the perks of gardening is vegetables
Yes.
and herbs, and you get to eat your produce. There's all sorts of nifty tools for garden and working with your produce. These are really neat. These 5-bladed scissors for dicing up herbs. It makes it kind of nice instead of having to hand chop all those herbs. These are kind of handy. This is a funny tool, new tool where it's for squash. It's got a saw blade built into it, and then you slide the scoop on top, and you can scoop out the insides of your
That's
pumpkin
handy.
or your squash. It's kind of nice. If you don't have anything from your garden per se, but you want to start something, there's all sorts of sprouting kits that you can use for bean sprouts and alfalfa and stuff like that to add a little greenery to your life. These lids here are great for covering pots, or they make smaller ones for mugs and stuff. And of course, there's all sorts of kits and fun stuff nowadays for cocktails, if you're so inclined.
All right, well, we've seen a lot of different ideas, but if you're still stumped, a couple of final recommendations,
Well, if you
Leonard?
don't know what someone has or wants, gift certificates, of course, are good at local garden stores or even places online. are really good. And so I mentioned, I've got, first I wanted to thank Gardener Supply again for providing all these for us to look at. But my website, perrysperennials.info, has a lot more, some gift ideas, but also a lot of articles if you want to find out, for instance, more about caring for these plants and feeding the birds.
Well, terrific. Thanks a lot for bringing all these in. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.